Noah, I see that there is evil from the rising of the sun to the setting thereof, especially from the one they call Ecclestone. But there is one good place, and you shall go there, Noah. Thou shalt build an ark.
A what?
All right, an old Ford Cortina with amusing slogans written down the side. And thou shalt gather 2 of every lager.
Every lager?
Every lager. And also some horrible sausages and some undercooked barbecue chicken, or something like that. I don't know, you can work this bit out for yourself. But you shall need some cagoules, for it will rain for 40 days and 40 nights.
That's ages!
Yes, it is quite a long time. All right, it shall rain for 24 hours. And you will persevere through this rain, Noah, for you are a good man. And through the rain you will know that truly you have arrived at the promised land. The promised land we call Le Mans.
Hello and welcome to Gareth Jones on Speed. I'm Gareth Jones.
I'm Richard Porter.
And
no Zog. What did you say he'd got?
I think he's got something called PLMS.
This is
Post-Le Mans Syndrome.
That affects us all.
Yeah. See, the three of us have just got back from almost a week at the world's greatest motor race. And it was a bit wet, but it was fantastic. But Zog got a bit poorly, so he's not here tonight. It's just me and Richard trying to sum up this glorious race in the few, perhaps 24 minutes or less that we've got. Richard, was it a classic this year, do you think?
I'm going to say yes. Because, no, it was. Well, obviously, at the front, the bit everyone was paying attention to, the Audi versus Peugeot race. A good result, as they say in football, for Audi. In other words, they won.
Yeah.
But not probably what they wanted, because they lost 2 of the 3 cars. And I was in the Audi camp when it got to the closing laps of the race. And it was what I think technically they call squeaky bum time, because they only had 1 bullet left in the barrel. And if that car went down, suddenly they had nada, because they'd lost 2. And I think, more importantly, Peugeot, considering they'd never done that kind of race distance before, hats off to them. They were looking strong.
I was very critical of Peugeot beforehand, as I always am, very teasing. And I think they did remarkably well, because they beat 2 of those fabulous Audis, and they are fabulous machines. And at a first attempt to get as far as they did and be up there on the podium, great result for France at a French race.
Well, yeah, now there's the thing. The safety car came out right up until almost the end.
How much did they run? Was it 12 minutes at the end? They sprinted.
It was madness. The safety car was out forever.
There was a good reason, though, because it was... I mean, I know, I was down in the start-finish straight by the entrance to the pits. In what would make a tropical shower look like one of those little sprinklers that you have in the garden.
Yeah, but
it was torrential.
I know, but there were human beings in those cars who, you think have seen rain before.
Yep.
And would be able to adjust their driving to suit. It wasn't, I thought, so catastrophically dangerous that it was wetter than it had been during the race earlier when they didn't bring out a safety car. And to my mind, it just felt, cynically, it felt like perhaps the French authorities were going, well, if we bring out a safety car for long enough, maybe the Audi will suffer for slow running and Peugeot won't. High risk strategy for them. But anyway, that's my cynical view of it. I could be completely wrong. Maybe, they just spotted a rare kind of toad on the track and they didn't want it to run over. If the car hits this, it will skid off.
Radio Le Mans.
Hello and welcome to Radio Le Mans. John Hindhaugh, your commentator here, and I will be live on air throughout the whole 24 hours of the race, adding to the 3 days of solid broadcasting that I have already under my belt. This really is the premier endurance event for my voice.
There was much talk on the radio. John Hindhaugh, the commentator, was saying at one point that this whole showboating that was going on, they sent the Peugeot out. They just about managed to get it to run in the last few minutes again, didn't they? And have it wait in a position so it could take that photo alongside the Audi. I mean, it was kind of safe because no one could have caught it at that point. But if that car didn't start and didn't make it to the line. But it was a great photo on the line with an Aston Martin there, the Peugeots, which had done so well, the Pescarolo was there, and the magnificent Audi, Biela's Audi.
Yeah, and that, I think, is why it was a classic race, because you just, you've been through that sort of 24 hours of up and down and all sorts of stuff going on in the torrential rain, but then you just saw that finishing formation and you thought, what a bunch of fabulous cars that have achieved something which, let's not forget, running for 24 hours and the human endurance and the mechanical endurance of it, that is quite extraordinary. It's that thing when you get to 3 o'clock in the morning and you're thinking, those cars and those people are halfway through, and it's the middle of the night.
And the extraordinary thing is that once upon a time the Le Mans race was truly an endurance race, get to the end. Now they race to the end. Every single car is from the very word go. I mean, I go there, I've been to Le Mans several times, I know what to expect, but the moment that they leave that start-finish straight and sprint up towards the bridge at racing speeds, it's always breathtaking. You've got 54 cars or something, I forget how many it was this year, going at a heck of a pace, and it's a lot of mass going past you. I've got some samples of sounds that I will play a little bit later on in the next part of the show. I think that pretty much covers the race aspect of it. For you, though, what was the big result, the Astons or the Audis?
For me, it's the Astons. I shouldn't say that because I went as a corporate guest of Audi, like the shameless whore that I am. Well done to Audi. It was good, and I think we underestimate how difficult it is to get a car to lead consistently a race like that over 24 hours. But yeah, I was rooting for the Astons because I just like them, and there was nothing in it at the end as well. That winning Aston, the Aston that won its class, it was what, 1 lap ahead of the Corvette. I think it was 1 lap, because I thought if that
was 1 lap exactly,
stumbles in any way, doesn't even break down, but it just stumbles, if something goes wrong, it needs to go into the pits and have something done to it, or it gets a puncture and has to on the far side of the track, it has to go back round. That's it, lead gone. It was that close. That's after 24 hours of racing.
That's extraordinary.
On the last lap they were still that close,
and like the first laps they were racing, they were nose to tail. All it was big Jan Magnussen on his big face chasing Johnny Herbert down. We love Le Mans.
Radio Le Mans, brought to you by chips, pies and ketchup, the power behind your Euro Fritz.
Cue John Hindhaugh. John, you're on. John Hindhaugh, you're on the air.
John Hindhaugh here, still commentating on Le Mans. 27 hours of continuous commentating, and I'm still here as the number 007 Aston crosses the line once more. The engine sounding a little soft there, soft like a lovely fluffy pillow. And across the curbs again. Obviously these cars are quite firmly sprung like a high quality mattress on an expensive bed must stay focused. Got to keep on commentating. Feeling slightly delirious now. A massive pink otter is coming towards me, but I'm not scared.
Don't worry, John, mate, it's just me, your old mate, Gary Champion.
Oh God, now I want me mum.
Radio Le Mans, truly international local radio.
Sniff Petrol avec Gareth Jones en speed.
Le Mans is a great race to take part in. It's probably the toughest challenge of them all, but it's equally a tough challenge if you're a punter, and I think that's part of the appeal of Le Mans. I've always maintained this thing that the race always starts, or the event starts, long before the racing. There are two great ways to do Le Mans: either drive over in a fantastic old sports car,
yes,
or arrive. How did you arrive?
It was in a jet that might have been private.
A private jet, yeah. Where did you land?
The airfield is in the middle of the track.
Airfield in the middle of... That is a great way to do it. Well
done.
It
was really lovely. And it's on the approach to the airfield, it was quite bumpy. Almost spilt my gin and tonic.
Steady.
That's not true, but I did. As we were coming in, and you can see the circuit, because you know, if you've ever been to Le Mans, you'll know where the airfield is, because it's right bang opposite the
start-finish straight.
Yeah. So you can see all that. You can see the trucks in the paddock. You can see the track. You can make out the campsites. Everything. So, in its own way, because I've never done the drive-down thing, but I gather, there's all these people in these fantastic cars, or indeed some brilliantly shabby cars that have been done out specially for the occasion, and they're all driving down, and so you get this buzz way before you get there. But in its own way, if you're going to be a horrible corporate whore about it, as you land in your private jet, that's when the buzz hits you, because you suddenly see this huge circuit stretching out before you with all these people there. And then immediately you just get this sort of rush of blood and your heart starts beating faster, and then you know you're here, and then the weekend is unfurling before you. It is
a huge, huge event, and it goes on all around the circuit as well. I saw some amazing cars. I saw, Integrales, which will always make me happy. I saw Il Mostros, the Alfa Romeo SZ. I saw the... a chop-top Volvo.
Really?
I think it was a 740 Estate.
No.
That had almost a whole foot probably taken out of the window. It was almost completely flat.
Oh, like lead-studded sort of...
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
Yeah, with the full number 24 on the side.
Oh,
this is all part of the show.
Oh, I didn't tell you about the one I saw on Saturday night out by one of the campsites over the Dunlop Bridge. Triumph Dolomite.
Oh,
the 1750. It wasn't a sprint, and it was otherwise quite normal from a distance. Blue one, but the owner, for reasons that only he could explain, had taken the exhaust, routed it out of the engine bay, rather than going under the car and out the back like it normally would.
Yeah,
he'd punched a hole through the bulkhead. It was coming into the cabin where he'd got a whacking great silencer, and then the pipe just exited through a hole which had been crudely punched through the passenger door. It was unbelievable. And then obviously, because he'd made his way down there in it, there was this brilliant sort of black sooty streak down the side where the pipe just popped out through the door. But the noise, imagine the noise of driving with the exhaust and the heat, yeah. So the passenger seat obviously had gone, and there was just an exhaust silencer there. But the finishing touch, which I like to think had been done with a certain elan and irony, was that on the back shelf there was a book entitled How to Weld. It was brilliant. And I'm not joking, I was with 4 other motoring journalists, and we were walking past this, and we spotted it, we stopped. And one of them was rolling around on the floor with laughter. He found it that funny. We were absolutely beside ourselves about this car. And then these 3 French lads came by, and they were looking at it as well. And they didn't speak in English. Our French is appalling. But through the mutual shared love of people who do stupid things to cars,
which is why we all go
we
there.
were all sort of high-fiving and stuff, and this guy was going, "Oh, c'est la voiture fantastique!" And it was a fabulous moment. But that was the most extraordinary car that I saw all weekend.
Day 38 in the Le Mans commentary box. Must keep commentating. There doesn't seem to be any cars on the track at the moment, and all the trucks seem to have gone from the paddock, but I'm going to keep on commentating. And you have to say that they're really showing promise, these 2 men in doctor's coats who are coming into the commentary box now.
Monsieur Hindhaugh, you must come with us now, please.
Net. They've shown real focus this weekend, and now that focus is rewarding them as they shoot me with a tranquilizer dart. And the distinctive livery of that jacket with straps on it there,
just put this jacket
wrapping
on,
itself around me.
Thank
and
you.
now, at last,
say goodbye, please, to everyone.
Crossing the line.
Well done, John.
Into unconsciousness.
You can stop now.
See you next year, Le Mans fans.
Essence de reniflement avec Gareth Jones sur la vitesse.
If anyone took a picture of what I'm about to describe, can you please email it to onspeed@garethjones.tv? Apparently, doing circuits outside Le Circuit Le Sarthe, not Le Sarthe, Le Sarthe, apparently, were not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5.
I know what you're going to say.
Yeah, 6
Yeah.
Reliant Robins painted in the Gulf colours.
Yes. I didn't see them either, but I heard about them. That was one of those weird things. Did you find as you were wandering around? I know we hung out together a little bit, but we also went our separate ways. And it was after I think I'd seen you for the start that is the first time I heard about this. Someone came up to me and we were just talking. It's like a mate that I'd know.
By the way, in the background, that noise you can hear, that is the sound of where Richard and I were at the start. Mainly the Astons going past and the Corvettes, that's what you'll hear, yeah.
It's fantastic. That was one of those great. I believe that Le Mans is a sort of series of, when you think back on it, it's a series of snapshots of golden moments. You've got this whole sort of 24-hour period, and a bit before and after as well. But you just reassemble it in your mind as these golden moments of things that only happen at Le Mans.
What was yours?
My absolute, I think the one that burns the most vividly in the memory was about 5:30 on Sunday morning.
Yeah.
And because I was a guest of a well-known German manufacturer that might have won the race, they had a room above their pit you could go into if you've got one of the little corporate hall passes. And I went in there and hung out of the window. You could open these bay windows, and I hung out of that. And the sun was just coming up over the end of the start-finish straight, so there's this sort of ethereal blue light in the sky, and the whole air, every sort of molecule of air had gone this kind of glacial blue, like looking through a Fox's Glacier mint, and it was just this sort of clear, crisp, and it was actually weirdly silent when the cars weren't running past. Weird silence and this coolness to the air. And then one of the Audis came into the pit and stopped, and they did a driver change, and McNish got out. It was the end of his stint, and just watching this balletic precision with which they did a pit stop at that time in the morning, and I was flaking. Although granted, I don't think that Alan McNish had more pints of lager and champagne than it was one of those things. It's part of Le Mans that you end up drinking an amount that Alex Hurricane Higgins would describe as a bit excessive.
And at about 4 o'clock in the morning, ate crepe soaked in Grand Marnier, which works for me. That's superb.
And some good chips as well. But I saw this pit stop, and it was because it seems like a lot of people had gone to bed, and they were missing this strange moment of seeing a team in action at a time when a lot of people were asleep or had passed out, and it was so quiet and calm, and also the sun coming up. And then finally I decided that it was enough, and I had to go to bed. I think I finally sort of got to bed about sort of 7, half 7, and I walked across this massive car park where people were just lying on the car park, asleep, just lying there on the ground, like they parked themselves. And the sun came up, and I looked back, and you could just see the top of the Dunlop Bridge, and it was one of those moments where I just thought, I loved it.
I was in the car
because I did almost swear then, but I can't overemphasise how much I loved it.
It's an almost surreal experience. It's a cliche to call it the Glastonbury of motorsport, but it is. It has this sort of spiritual quality that you get from sleep deprivation, I think.
Yes, I think that's part of it.
Yeah, I do. And just the physical exhaustion of just tracing this whole circuit on foot. For me, my highlight of Le Mans, it's a sound thing. I adore the sound of Le Mans. I love the sound of the French commentary on the tannoy and being able to make out some of it.
It wouldn't be as good if it was in English.
No, that's right.
I can't understand the words they're saying, but I love the fact that it's this sort of backbeat of it's just brilliant.
There it is now. This sound we're hearing now, it's practically no different from the movie Le Mans, which is
maybe that's why we love it.
Also, but talking about sound, I'm going to finish in a moment with a bit of audio for everyone. I want to play you a little bit of sound of the drive back. Because on the way back from Le Mans, I went in a fleet, I suppose, of 3 rather interesting cars.
That's a fleet.
Zog's 944 Turbo, Palo Hours Brian and his son James, who were in a Morgan Plus 8, which is as quick as anything. And I travelled in a Dino, a Fiat Dino 2400 convertible with my mate Rob. And that sound you can hear at the tyre squealing now, the roundabouts on the way back. But of course, it was all within safe speed. So,
can I just play a bit of sound of my trip back?
Go on.
Yes, I will have another glass of wine, please.
You.
I'm sorry, I'm such a sellout. It's pathetic. But I was in a hurry. I needed to.
Okay, 2 things before we go, because we'll wrap this up really quickly now, right? But 2 things before we go. First of all, a big up to everyone we met who already downloading this show or about to start downloading this show and were fans of both Sniff Petrol and Gareth Jones on Speed. Thank you very much indeed for that, guys. I promise to say hello to a whole bunch of guys, especially the Cranfield Morgan Club, who we were camping with. What a fine bunch of men they were in Bertrand.
Hello.
And just about every person we met who's now listening to this show. Thank you. And the other thing is, Zog, get well soon.
Yes.
He'll be alright, I'm sure. I think he's just exhausted. That was a fast drive, and I have to say, no breakdowns from any of the vehicles. Well, nothing that we couldn't fix with a pair of pliers. And no speeding tickets or anything, because of course we wouldn't dream of speeding on the road. Gareth Jones on Speed advocates safe driving.
Gareth Jones on prudence. Making progress, do they call it?
Making
something like that.
Gareth Jones on making reasonable progress given the traffic conditions.
That's the one.
That's it. I'm going to leave you with the sound of some cars approaching Tetre Rouge, one of the finest moments on this wonderful circuit. Listen carefully. You'll hear a selection of turbocharged 4s. You'll hear silent diesels. You'll hear almost perfectly swooshy Peugeots and the odd V8 from Aston Martin and Corvette. And after that we'll play out on a tribute to the winners of the race. So say goodbye, Richard.
Goodbye.
Au revoir.
a en fait amélioré pour le record segment pour les voitures de la catégorie féminine. Et à l'instant, Marc Génie avec la Peugeot numéro 7 qui a bouclé un tour en 3.32 0.76. Bon, il y a le jeu de 100 000 qui est en 7ème position. On a
prototype LMP1 carbon fibre and aluminium composite monocoque 90-degree V12 4 valves per cylinder diesel direct injection Gareth turbochargers maximum turbo pressure of 2.94 bar. Stressed aluminium crankshaft case. Bosch engine management system. 239.9mm restrictors on the engine air intake. Dry some shell oil. Lubrication system. 5,500 cc, more than 150 brake horsepower, over 1,100 Newton meters of torque, minimum weight 925 kilograms. Fuel tank capacity 90 litres of diesel fuel. Marco Werner, Manuele Piro, Frank Bieler, Audi R10 TDI. This Le Mans special episode of Gareth Jones on Speed was exactly 24 minutes and 24 seconds long and was made by Whizbang.